KC0VII Tom here. We're out here at the Rochester, Minnesota International Airport for the CAF AirPower History Tour. We'll spin around here and show you what we got. I'm kind of excited about this because I'm getting back with Fifi. Yeah, if you're my age and from the Austin area, Minnesota area, wipe that silly smirk off your face. It's not that Fifi. This Fifi is a Boeing B-29 Super Fortress. We also have a consolidated B-24 Liberator. Both these aircraft are here for static tours and giving rides throughout the weekend. And we also have a Texas T6 giving rides and a Boeing Stearman. We'll spin around here so you guys can see they got a booth to pick up souvenirs. The 24 is over there, and the Boeing and the Texas are there. We'll walk around. Outhouses over there, as you get my age. Walk around, see what we can find. Here we got a little souvenir stand where you sign up for rides and get confirmation rides. We'll spin around here, see if we can get a peek at the Texas. They're getting ready for their first ride. Civilian aircraft taking off. And we got a guard there watching me so I don't transfer over. There's the Boeing Stearman. Talking with some of the staffs, they were telling me that first flight was just kind of like a test flight, so we waited till they came back. Here we have the Texas and the Stearman. We'll do a walk down the flight line so you can see all four aircraft. Been a long time since it's been on a flight line. I believe the last time was like in 95 or 96 at Oshkosh. Spent about 10 hours out on the flight line and got horribly sunburned. So now I make sure I have a floppy hat to protect my ears and nose and a towel to lay across my lap. Here we have the Consolidated B-24 Liberator. It's interesting, I was walking down here listening to some of these people talking. A lot of these are friends or relatives of the volunteers that run the tour. And there was a few veterans that were here from the World War II area, kind of inside the shed there. We were talking to the volunteers on, their aircraft they flew, the names of it, and how many missions. It was quite interesting. Also, being that Mayo Clinic is located here in Rochester, there was a few medical patients I recognized when I was down there. This is their kind of a day to get away from the clinic, enjoy the fresh air outside, and get a little history on it. Here we have Boeing's B-29 Super Fortress, Fifi. I first seen Fifi back in '85 at Oshkosh. And we come around the front here. I thought the Fifi lettering on the B-29 was in black. This one's in blue, so I'm sure she's gone through a few restorations since then. Still look as good as the first day I saw her. We'll walk around here to the front and give you guys a little tour on the outside, then we'll go inside and do a tour on the inside. Without the dead cat microphone, the wind on the flight line is pretty rough, so I'll do a voiceover here. Again, this is Boeing's B-29 Super Fortress. This aircraft is named Fifi. The B-29s were designed for high-altitude precision bombing. The idea was they were going to bomb Japan's homeland, destroy their industrial complex, the ability to make war, destroy any type of military complex, naval yards, allow the war to end sooner. We'll start here at the nose of Fifi and do a walk around. Visibility for the pilot, co-pilot, I was told is very good. The bombardier had a very large plexiglass nose to look out, along with the bomb sight, either a Norton or a Sperry style bomb sight. The four engines were a little problematic throughout the life of the B-29. After World War II, B-29s did see service in the Korean conflict for a while. We'll make our way underneath this wing here. The aircraft is massive. I wish there were some other people here so you actually see the size compared to, say, a 6-foot man to the tires or the length of the props. The defensive fire control for the B-29 was quite advanced for an aircraft of this time. The gunners did not touch the 50 caliber machine guns or 20mm cannon. It was actually ran electronically from gun stations located on either side of the aircraft, one in the nose and one in the tail section. Upon an aircraft approaching or leaving the B-29, the gunners could actually lock onto the target, and another button was used to fire. The onboard computer selected which turret, located 2 on top, 2 on the bottom, and 1 in the aft, and 1 in the nose, to fire upon the aircraft. There will be times where you may only have 1 turret firing upon it, or you may have 4 turrets firing upon it, depending on the angle that the aircraft is approaching or leaving. You can see the lower nacelle turret on this as we walk past the tail section. We'll get a little further up in the tail section, you'll actually see the twin 50s mounted in Fifi's tail. There were some models of the B-29 that actually had a 20mm cannon. These is located just below the tail gunner's position, inside that little blister there. We'll start walking up the right side of the aircraft. As you can see, the size of the aircraft is just massive. The crew compartments on the B-29 were pressurized. The tail gunner section was pressurized, the waist gunner section was pressurized, and the forward cabin area where the pilots and bombardier were was pressurized. This section here, from the waist gunner position back to the tail gunner, it's a little rest area, kitchenette area that the crew can relax in. This was not pressurized, it can only be used at low altitudes. So the tail gunner wanted to make sure he was in his position before they gained altitude. The transfer tunnel from the waist gunner position to the forward part of the fuselage is also pressurized. On early versions of the B-29, these little blisters here on the waist, nose, and tail section actually had a steel cage mounted inside just in case a bullet pierced the plexiglass and caused a blowout and depressurized the aircraft and sucking the crew out. The carpet bombing campaign did destroy a good portion of the industrial complex in Japan, so the Japanese government switched over to a cottage-based industry. A good example out of this, say I was working for the Mitsubishi Aircraft Company, working on the Japanese Zero. I'd stay at home, work on the wiring loom for the electrical system of the aircraft. After a few days, I'd report into a gathering point, turn in my product, and a plane would be assembled. So the War Department switched from carpet bombing to fire-based bombing using incendiary devices. They were going to burn these little cottage-based industries out of Japan. And they did. The money raised of emission fees and rides go back to the aircraft. Like I said, each engine burns 100 gallons an hour. You got 4 engines. They're giving rides Saturday, Sunday. Magnificent plane. Down here in the right hand side of the aircraft. We'll swing around to the tail section. Okay, B-29 Bombay. You got a couple demonstration units. We'll pan around here. You can see the transfer tube on top where they go from the forward compartment to the aft. We'll head up to the get in the nose, see what we can see. Radio station. Look through the transfer tube. Navigation. Here in front we're the pilot and co-pilot, flight engineer, bombardier down there, flight engineer station. I'd like to thank Ken here, the volunteer, who kind of moves stuff around so you get a better shot. The two most famous B-29s were Enola Gale and Boxcar. They dropped the atomic weapons on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Here we have a consolidated B-24 Liberator. This one is named Diamond Lil. The B-24 saw service in all theaters of operation during World War II, Africa, Europe, and the Pacific Rim area. The B-24 was built alongside the B-17 as a co-bomber, not as a replacement bomber. The War Department was worried about teething problems with the technology at the time and wanted to make sure they had a good bomber fleet to bring the war effort to the German homeland and the Japanese mainland. The B-24 is used for bombing campaigns, Maritime Patrol, And with the tricycle style landing gear, it made an ideal troop transport VIP transport. When it's on the ground like this, the floor is level and it's easier to carry your duffel bag and your other gear in and out of the aircraft. For Maritime Patrol, it was used to scout enemy air positions, escort convoys in and out of the harbors, and keep the U-boats heads down during the war. In the Pacific area, they were used a lot for air-sea, searching out downed pilots and crew. Again, here on the tail gunner, the gunner actually held on to the gun, so during firing he had recoil that would throw his aim off. We had another waist gun here. Both sides had a waist gun, tail gun, and we had a nose gunner. This is just a gorgeous morning for this. Nice temperature, a little bit of breeze, keep you cool out here on the tarmac. I was talking to Ken up there in the B-29, and one of the questions I asked him was, how come you guys aren't at Oshkosh? And he said they were there for a couple days earlier in the week at Appleton giving rides and raising money. But they can actually only do a couple flights a day there due to the number of other aircraft doing rides. Here at Rochester, they can get 3 or 4 rides a day if they wanted to and raise more money to keep these aircraft in the air. Okay, we're in the tail section of the B-24. As you can see, the tail gunner. And this is kind of a blister for underneath, so in case they try to come up from down below. Storage rack for one of the 50 cal. Over here we got the waist gun. Move her way forward. Radio. Navigator is probably further up front. Jump seats. Place for the crew to sit and relax. And try not to hit her head on the way through the bomb bay department. Again, these are dummy bombs. They keep telling me, I hope they're dummy bombs. Excuse me. Come up. Nice instrument layout. There's some modern instruments in here. It's not all authentic, but if you're flying one of these, you want to make sure you know where you're at, what you're doing. Did you peek? Oops. Down through there a little bit, you can see the Bombay department. That's Karnov. Kind of the engineering station. You can see the front nose gear. Let's see if we can get a little better shot here for you. Then in front of that is the Bombardier's place. The Bombardier would take control of the aircraft on the final bomb run. Norton bomb sight and the Honeywell, no, Sperry's bomb sight was competed against which was the best. So,
sir, is there anyone with you up here?
nope, just me.
Yourself? All right. When you're ready to come on back, come on back. Let's see. Giving some special tours here. I think we planned the perfect time for this. Get a little crowd there. I want to keep the line going smooth so they don't want people to gallywag around in here. Diamond Lil. Look going down the right wing. You got the outer engine, landing gear, and the well where the wheel retracts up into, inner engine, hydraulic systems. Here we go, inspection hatch. Look inside the bomb bay. Gonna walk around the Boeing Stearman. This is an early aircraft, early trainer. Stories have it, I was told, you cut your teeth in this and you move it up to the next trainer, which would have been like the T6. This is also used for consumer aviation, general aviation. A lot of these were converted over to crop dusting. We used to have one in the Austin area when I was growing up. And we'll take a peek here in Cockpit. Aft Cockpit. And I may be wrong, but I always thought the trainer sat in back, but it looks like that one they're sitting in the front. They can see better. Come around the tail. Gorgeous aircraft. Radial engine, a lot of noise. You could always tell this when the local crop duster would be flying in through the neighborhood. Just the distinct sound of the engine, you knew it was Angel. Boeing Stearman. Okay, we're going to do a quick walk around the T6 Texan. These were a trainer. As we can see, the pilot's behind us talking to shop with somebody. See if we can get close to that and take a peek inside the cockpit. I don't know if I can reach that far up, but let's give it a shot. This is the aft department. A lot of these were built training the pilots. A lot of them are crashed training the pilots. They would, stories I was told, they would take off, say from St. Paul or Minneapolis, up there at the training bases or a large training base, and go around to these smaller towns and practice landings, takeoffs, group formation flying. Rochester was one of them, and Winona was another one that I was told they would fly in and out of quite a bit. Sort of like one thing they don't tell you in high school, we had 2 aircraft carriers in Lake Michigan that were doing carrier qualification for trainees. So, Texas T6 trainer. Okay, we'll call this a day. We're here at the Rochester Airport again. Anytime you come across one of these CAF's AirPower shows, make sure you stop in. Take a look around. You remember your entry fee and any rides you pay for, that money goes back into paying for the aircraft's upkeep. Keep them flying.
Be sure to tell your friends, neighbors, other hams. Subscribe, hit that bell to get notification when new videos come out. Add comments below. 7-3 everybody.